Okay, let's get this started. Hello all. This Neville Emporium guy. How's it going? That Apple TV rewards thing, just I get it. Just stop telling me. If I tell you not to show me, remove it. Just, yeah. If that's the way that Twitch is gonna go, we're gonna get ads for things dropped in the chat every time we join in. That's gonna get frustrating. Okay. Didn't clean my glasses before I started, and now I realize I've got stuff on them to irritate me. So the goal of today's stream is I have been working on my pipelines, as I put them, the transforms of the data to enrich certain streams. I have, and I'm going to use Mongo for that to capture that data, just because it's a little simpler. But to be able to use this properly, I have to be able to pull all the data I currently have in parts of the system and import it into there. So I come back to my ETL tool, because then I can use this to insert the data. But obviously I'm using Mongo. Our discussion on SQL versus NoSQL is very helpful. Nice. Morning, Dota. Morning, Mojo. How's it going? So here I'm storing planning items in users. So I have this, I have these receivers that are just pulling the plan items and users. This one now is going to consume the changes. These are separate services, even though they're both Kafka receivers or Kafka consumers. Purely because they would be independent. So what this one's going to do is it's going to take the data, run it through, identify which change it needs to process, and then for that change, gather the data from the actual tables, and then produce a stream of enriched data. That's the goal there. Very much so. Very much so. Very much because I do not want to put the burden of doing that stuff inside of any other service. It is something that does take a bit of time. No source system knows all the information. So planning doesn't know everything about users and projects, etc. It just has identifiers. Changes doesn't know anything about that. I could combine it all into changes and publish a really clean stream of changes, but then I'd be doing all sorts of lookups and changes would get slow. The calculation of changes would get slower. So this is an in-between step that I feel is useful. And if later on, after a little bit of reflection, it's not as useful as it seems, the code is still valid because the ability to go and pull that data is still useful. So if nothing else, the experience will be good. So what I need to do here is have a universal moniker provider, microservice name Galactus. I've actually tried to stay away from quirky names, or not quirky names, but actually naming some of these things. In the past, I've named these systems like you name computers and stuff, or servers and whatnot, to give them purpose. I kind of skipped to the last word of that sentence. So, yeah. So here we are going to okay. Hi, Temtic. How's it going? I made a video on simple design. I'm not sure I agree. Right. Um, yeah, so what we're going to do, or what I want to be able to do, is something like this, right? So I'm going to define, here's my source database, here's my destination, here's the steps I'm going to take to transform my information. So I'm going to copy planning items from planning items database to the notifications database. That's what this is meant to do. Doing good, doing good. So what this needs to be is kind of description, um, tenants to, and now these, I kind of see these actions being stored in the repositories themselves, because what they'll actually do is um, they'll define the steps this piece needs to convert its information from the other systems. Yes, it knows about them. Yes, it knows about the source systems, but that's okay here. This is a tool. Um, every developer thinks what they do is the simplest possible approach. I don't. I do believe. I actually don't believe that. I think I try to be. Well, I believe I'm taking easier steps that I can build upon. I don't necessarily know it's the simplest. I know I have a tendency of over design, but sometimes the solution you see is the one that you understand, and a simpler approach might not appear to you. Um, that's why it's useful to have other people um, looking. Certainly, the moment, yeah, a few months down the line, it's that one. Not sure what simple means here either. Is that everything in one function, or is it the opposite? Well, for me, I don't know if that was like directed at anything in particular for Schnabel, other than Prime had a video on simple design. But yeah, I know it's so easy to overcomplicate and to not see the simpler solution. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, as I was saying, these actions realistically, so an action has many steps. So the action would be an independent like source to destination, and then the steps would be the tables that from that source system that make up the data. Terminology pending. Um, I just did some rejigging of this piece. But the idea here is that I could store these transform files, whatever I want to call them, in the repository for each component, because this isn't going to be a one-off. This is going to be a tool that is useful. Um, it let's say if I have backups of main systems, but the data that's transient through the other systems gets lost, or I have to rebuild them, I should just be able to pull that data in, because the sources of truth are what this does. So this is not a temporary tool. This is not just to solve an initial problem. This is a useful tool to build. As you add new systems, as you add new components, the ability to populate those components by just writing some descriptive JSON and then having it run the tool and populate your data is a very useful piece, because then I don't have to worry about, okay, well, I've got all these planning items, but no other system knows about them. Let me go populate the other systems. and I don't want to use the I don't want to like trigger integrations to do that. Whether that's putting all the code in Windows Forms code behind the direct calls to SQL Server or modeling the entire application as a state monad and then using. I'm not going to try and pronounce that word. Operators to transition the state. Yeah. Simple is definitely not always simple. So what this needs to deal with, let me have a look. So a step has a source and a destination target, but then it's like transform definition source. I don't need anything more fancy there. This is a harder one. Just go connection string right this second. Yeah, so it's going to go string connection string. It's going to return that to the primary. And that'll do that. That's that. It's okay. Don't know if you want to do that. Let's see. I don't know if that's actually disposable. I don't think client. Yeah, the Mongo client like that is kind of managed underneath. So you get an instance of it, and it manages its connections that way. So you don't have to worry about that in the same way. Let's see. Just put is empty on the repository. Fetch all is really what I care about the most. Program data conversion. So I want a to the point of simple. I'm not overthink. I'm trying not to overthink this design. I'm just trying to kind of do the dumb things to try and get the answer. So this is a repository. This takes string, connection string, MongoDB repository. And I've got to figure out how to. Does this actually still exist? Oh, but I don't know the collection name. So this is, yeah. So the problem with Mongo is Mongo kind of starts at the top and then you select a database when you're querying. So that needs that. Because then you well database equals this would be protected. That wants to be renamed to client. So then you're going to do client database. And database dot get collection. Yeah, that's going to be a harder one. Target dot table. Can I do dynamic there? Let's find out. Dot. I don't think Mongo supports this. I don't think Mongo likes the idea of you selecting all the documents. Book write is one thing, but if memory serves, it's query raw. Yeah. Let's try that and see what happens. Oh, dynamic. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure that's going to work the way I want it to do. Uh-huh. uh, okay, let me test that. Mongo DB write repository. So the write repository is the batch import. Right. This is going to be interesting. So does that mean I consider myself a 10x developer? Am I that arrogant? MongoDB repository connection string. So this would be client. This is going to be challenging var database equals client get database. Yeah, expando object. Apex, good morning. How you doing? Do you need to consider escaping of values? I'm not sure. Right, a second. This one worked. This one does work. Once I made the parameters, it works fine. So the treating them like that, because then you just feed the data in and it actually knows it's parameterized. So that works fine. Apex, thank you very much for the gift sub. Very much appreciate that. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I think in that case it was fine. In this, we're about to find out. But var collection equals database dot get collection dynamic. Let's find out if it'll care. Target dot table bulk write data. Enumerable right model dynamic requests. Bulk right. Now this is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, right? There's a whole lot more to do with this because it's really not optimal. It's very memory inefficient. There's way more challenges. So I'm being very simplistic here. English right model. Do I have to convert it? Let's find out. Just buy more memory. So var insert data equals data dot select b goes to new right model dynamic the kind of access, yeah. I've started to use records to wrap string and int values. Let's type them. Okay. So you can't do that. List rights. Ah, that's why. It's an insert. Insert one model and collection dot bulk right. Well, let's see how that goes. I think this type thing is odd. For example, record connection string value. And this type thing is odd. In this. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, yes. Yeah. So putting context onto the actual type, like giving it a type so it reads correctly. Makes sense. Okay. We may end up doing that, by the way, because actually might need to make that more complicated. Or making it a type rather than that. I've got a feeling this isn't going to quite go how I want. So in theory, the way this works is right now this gets a read repository and write repository, right? So that's great, but now I need to be able to get the correct read and the correct write repository. Afternoon Rambling Geek, how's it going? So here, let's do another file, JSON file. This is going to be Pipelines. Pretty chill day so far. Nice, nice. I wish I was looking forward to one of them. I'm not looking forward to a chilled day. Though it is Wednesday and it feels like Tuesday. Um, yeah, let's just do pipelines. So this is again the intention of this would be this would live inside of its project, right? The inside of here somewhere, and this would be able to be run to populate the data for this component. So it knows it's configured to know about all the other things. So we take that. I'm not starting completely from scratch here. There's our actions. And then we have our steps. So our action here, description here is we need users from, we need users, tenant management. So the source database is tenant management. They're all on the same connection string right now. This is where this gets a little weird. This is where I'm going to have to figure out how do I determine Mongo from SQL or whatever, which is why I said connection string might be a concept, but yeah. So I'm thinking this might be provider MongoDB, then use some sort of factory to gather that. Connection string is it's the MongoDB connection string. That's the connection string for Mongo. That's that. See, because this needs database as well. And this would be pipelines right now. But the source doesn't need that sort of behavior. Provider SQL Server. So my justification for this right now is I'm writing my own. I know tools exist, but by the time I've figured out how to configure and work with another tool, I'll have something that I can understand in more depth and be able to configure for my specific needs without having to go and learn new methods every single time. ETL tools are definitely out there. We did look at some of them. Some of them cost money. Some of them are open source. A lot of them are code driven. I want them to be data driven here because I want to be able to define one of these things very quickly, or relatively quickly, and populate a system by just running the tool. And again, the benefit here is that when I am starting a new component of the system, let's say I want to populate a reporting database, etc. So I need to go to all these different things and pull the data in and kind of store it in a different form. Then all I'll do is write a load of these to transform from database to database. I would imagine the destination actually always remains the same. So destination actually could set, and the source is really what I'm caring about, I suppose. The way I'm intending it, right? So if this is an entire transform for one particular project, then this destination actually lives up there. So destination and source don't actually mean the same. But anyway, um, so what do we do here? We need to create a definition of what this looks like, and that's a challenge. Sorry. As always, if anyone has any questions or opinions of this, I'm more than happy to dig in. So what I'm thinking here now in the conversion runner, this needs to do a few more things, right? So it needs to figure out, okay, which read type am I getting? The API should always be the same, right? Because it is read from one, write to the other. So this is pretty much a repeatable step. Some of these things, the idea here is that if so you can configure okay, I don't want to do I want to wipe it out before I start? Do I want to overwrite existing, etc.? Do I want to do, you know, checks to see if the record's there? Because again, if there's a primary key on the table and I'm inserting, I'm not doing a data dump here. I'm doing a query. If it's not an empty collection, don't bother trying. Therefore, because it's already populated with something, that's a key thing, and then the primary key identifier. So I think over time this will evolve because I think some of these are very much dependent upon the source data type. But I want to explore. So on the transform definition, this source and destination now are more enriched. So let's have a look at that. Public. Record. See, this is where this is challenging because they're different. There's no benefit of the database. Actually, maybe that is. See, I made that a dependency of the repository. Challenge of deserializing from JSON. I can't have dynamic types there, and I've deserialized the model already. So what I mean there is, so I've loaded this, right? We'll come back to this in a second. That's just one type of this. I have the target and it has a table and fields. If this had a subclass, Mongo DB target, right? And there was public string table, but above that there was public string database. I don't think that matters for this. So if that was possible, then I could kind of subclass it. Same here. I have that challenge. Because this is target still, right? If I could do target.database, that would work perfectly. Yeah. Yeah, it means I'll set it later. I know it's not set right now, but it will be. It's kind of an indicator of an intent. Because right now they're not a what are they called? They're not inherited here, so I'm not pulling the repository. Yeah. Yeah, because if it's null. Yeah. It's just basically telling the compiler I promise I'll set it later. But it can't be null. If you try and do that, it'll just say no, it's not nullable. You can also disable it. Like you can make it so it's back to the original style where strings and value type reference types are nullable by default. Um, no, that's what I'm kind of debating. I'm debating. No, there's no generics. That's the problem. Because it needs to get database. What I'm thinking about is actually instead of making this, what I can do. What's the can I do that? Is that there's one of these JSON. Is it J element? I think I can do that. JSON value. Because then I can actually read a property off it and determine. Let's test that. So what I'm looking to do there is if I have um, Oh, what don't you like about that? That's valid. Line contains different white space than the closing line. Hey, Mr. Jones, how's it going? Right. So var things equals JSON serializer deserialize. So the problem there is public class. Fantastic. My objects. If we do public can I do this? Can I do JSON? What I call it? What I try and use before JSON content? JSON value. JSON value array values. Deserialize my object. JSON content. Things dot. Was that? Yeah, it doesn't deserialize. I thought it was J object or something like that. Oh. JSON. Oh, no. What are all those things? What I want to do is basically defer casting them to an entity type until later. Then I can query a common property off of them and in the factory and figure out what the data looks like so I can cast it to the right type. JSON. I thought it was JSON object. It's not. Oh, hold on. Let's make sure we're doing this properly. JSON serialize JSON serializer options. Why you can't? It's there. System text JSON name. What? Oh, that's why. Okay. There we go. That's better. So we have two JSON objects. We have all the data. So then for each var value in things dot values, if value dot yeah. So now the problem is, what is this? It's a JSON object. So let's create a type, public class. Let's do connection type. Public string name, public things values. They're all connection type. That's okay. Value dot So just test this. JSON, maybe JSON value, things.dom. JSON object seems to be the right thing. Value dot deserialize connection type. Nope. Does that take the same thing though? Hold on. I'd be gutting if that's the case. Yep. Okay. So then we can do I think we need to make a variable. Bar options equals that. Let's make sure the options are always passed in the same. So now my idea there is if we have everything as JSON object, then what we can do is see, I'd rather not deserialize it to then check its value to then deserialize it again as the right type. It'd be nice if I could read a value from a JSON object. Right, get value from JSON object. Can I do that? Nope. Pretty much this is the suggested solution. This is what I'm seeing people do a lot of. Because there is JObject. I know I've done that before. That's in JSON. That's in Newtonsoft, I think. JObject doesn't, yeah, JObject doesn't exist in this one. So this is the equivalent of JSON object, but I don't think I can do value. Oh, maybe I can. Value. Yes, we can. Okay, so switch value. So we can have public class special connection type is a connection type. Which there's also JSON redo it, which is low level, but was nice. And this would be public string extra. So this would basically do one var connection type equals switch value. It's one. Never remember how to write this style switch. Value switch, right? Um, Case one. Oh, you don't do case sensitive, do you? Yeah, you do. Yeah, I'm just having a mental block. I don't write these switches very often. And the inline switch. Yeah, okay, it is. Inline switch is not that. Inline switch is this. So here we're going to do value dot be serialize connection type options. Um, oh, because that's going to be int value dot be serialize special connection type options. Thinking that. There we go. That's better. I write these so rarely. I'll look at this sort of stuff. And I'm like, I don't write a lot of those things. But then we can do connection type. And there we go. So we've got our special and our regular. Yeah, this should never happen. So this is, I think, what we want to do. So starting with the connection strings, right? These are different connection strings. So I think I can do something like that. Because it does make sense to have the destination connection have the databases connected to. I mean, it does happen here, right? So I don't think that's alien. So let's create let's create a directory for configuration. Let's move these. Hello. Okay. I just noticed you're working on ETL. You're reading in the configs to be able to connect to HTTP. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. So in this instance, I have a need to convert from SQL Server to MongoDB, right? So I'm just trying to write that pipeline. Really, dog? No, 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 no. Yeah, so the idea here is that I'm going to define, pull from here. I'm not sure about destination. We'll worry about destination in a minute, but we need to get the configuration. This is going to be a common challenge I'm going to need to solve. So, yeah, right now we'll get the JSON value. We'll kind of figure out who owns what. So we need a what is this? It's not a connection. What does it represent? What does this represent? I mean, it is a connection string, but it's more than the connection string. The provider is going to dictate how much information we have. Data connection right now. That's the base type. and it will have provider. Do we always have a connection string? I think we do, right? So public string provider, public connection string. Actually, I'm going to make that nullable so we don't have to provide it. So everything as a provider is default. So then if we have public class, MongoDB, data connection, that is a data connection that adds public string database, has to be set. Now the challenge is where do I use these things? So the conversion runner takes this, that's no longer a source. So the challenge here, because I'm not really defining this, I'm kind of making it up as I go along, is that I'm going to do a lot of push and pull. There's going to be lots of times where the code's broken. There's going to be times where things work. I'm going to go a long time between testing. So I got to kind of figure out what I want to do. Let's try making it read, right? Time to create some factories. So public class, repository factory. Does the repository, do I really care? Do I want to define read and write separately? Does it matter that they read and write? Does it just matter that they have the functionality? It probably doesn't matter. They probably just need to have write and fetch, right? So if we move that into there and that into there, and this takes a MongoDB data connection, and this takes connection string. That takes connection database. That starts to get a little bit nicer. Connection.database. So then we don't need those two. That cleans that up. And then we just have a repository. Let's make that abstract. So read repository, write repository. Let's move these into here. Let's call this a SQL Server repository. Remove write repository. Collection. We'll genericize that a little bit. Then the SQL Server repository is going to get that. She's going to that. I mean, ultimately, that's what we're doing. We're checking if that collection is empty. So now we have we don't have a generic repository yet. That's going to be, it's going to take a data connection. It's going to remove that. It's going to remove that. It's going to clean that up. That doesn't need to be disposable more. That goes in here. As it is SQL Server. Data connection. Actually don't need that down there now, do I? I'm trying to get a repository. No. Let's leave that in place for right a second. I don't think I actually need it though. Data connection dot connection string. So that should still work. That can be private. That wants to make that. Joy. That for a second. This is interesting now because I don't have this ability to do that, which is fine. This is just my way of saying, okay, well, if I can do some validation on the configuration when I load it, then that's good. Because it'd be nice to say, you know, you don't just want to load the configuration in and make some conversions of data. And hope it works, right? So being able to validate that the configuration is at least good enough is kind of the intent there. So this is a repository. Takes a connection. Implements is empty. Var database equals client data get database. Probably should do that. Get collection dynamic collection. Oh yeah. Collection name. Doesn't matter. Overriding the name of that isn't going to hurt us. The irony is I changed it to collection for the purpose of being generic between Mongo and SQL because it's not a table here, but and the SQL one is the one I didn't change in. And then return collection dot count documents. Just want to count documents. What do I have to do? Hey, Sherlock's. How you doing? No, this isn't Unity. I'm not doing game dev right this second. Hope that I don't have any tags that say no. I am an application developer. So I am building a oh, doofus. Wait. Async. Yeah, the patterns aren't going to make a difference there because precedence. Yeah, what I'm working on right now is I am working on a tool to transform data from one database to another. I am working on a new component of my application, and I need to transfer data from other databases into it. So I'm trying to make that work. Let's do. I'm gonna do something I've never done before. Data connection factory. So I think like static. Um, get from JSON value JSON. Is it JSON value we end up on? My brain's going blank there. JSON object or JSON value? JSON object. Get from JSON object. JSON object. Um, object. If object. Interesting. Oh no, I use lowercase. Okay. We use lowercase. Object provider is null. Or new exception. Null. Being specific, that's an argument exception. Otherwise, return objects provider. Might as well do the switch again. Worked so well the first time. I'll standardize these eventually. Server new. Did I? Yeah, I kind of made them generic, didn't I? Which is okay. Data connection. It's not that. It's going to be object dot deserialize data connection. Like static JSON serializer options. Naming policy equals case. I need them to. I can make that private. That need it's yeah. So that's because it now wants to change it to a nullable data connection, but that's yeah. So it can be coalesced. That's interesting. What does that want now? Non-nullable. But it can't. I have checked that it is. Yeah, I suppose I have. Does that still prefer that? Yeah. So um hmm. So we cast it to a string. We guarantee it's not null. We've guaranteed it's not null there. Cast it to a string. Hmm. Mongo, what do I call it? MongoDB. Not the most resilient tool in the world. I've noticed Jet ReSharper does not like does not like that style using the app. It's definitely a dislike of Mongo. Okay, so we've got a connection factory. This isn't the only thing we're going to need to do here, though, right? We're going to need to do this for other things, I believe. Let's try and move forward. So now what is it? We need a repository factory. So this is going to take. Oh, this is weird. I don't like factories. I do not like creating them. It always feels very hacky to do this. Which is why I'm having fun putting the name factory on it. You were just outside. What's the matter? You're just coming in to cry? Make a factory. I can make all the well, the funny thing is, I'm about to make a factory that's going to use a factory to get to get the to determine what it needs. That's hilarious. So to get the repository from that now, to get the right repository, I need to. So what this is going to look like is var source repository equals repository factory dot get whatever, and it's going to take the action dot source var destination repository factory dot get action dot destination, and then this all stays the same. That's what I'm aiming for, right? Well, lie down. You've just been outside. I know you've been outside. Don't try and con me. No. 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 Don't you bite. Kisses. There you go. Yeah, all this stays the same. So yeah, but I'm going to use the repository factory to determine the repository. wow. No, no, this is, oh, you'll love this. I'm having to write a renderer for strappy rich text blocks. Why? I don't think this is data connection factory. I think this is repository factory. I think the challenge is that I'm actually going to return a repository. And this is get, and then the provider is going to determine, yeah. So in here we're going to do new SQL Server repository, and that's going to take that. We're going to guarantee that works. And in here we're going to do MongoDB repository, and that's, we're going to guarantee that works. And cannot find best common types for SQL Server. They both inherit from repository. Cannot find best common types. But they're both. Because the body content comes in JSON blocks, the paragraph on this is separating the content. Ah. That takes a source, which is a. Oh, I didn't change them in this one, did I? JSON object, JSON object. Okay, that's better. That's fine. Destination, source, destination. Oh, derp. There we go. I need that here. Abstract. Exalamilo, welcome in. How you doing? Have you tried using the new C# error handling? Use C# error handling. What respect? Oh, that's why. They're different. I need async. Gotcha. Async task. Sorry, Milo. You're not allowed to post links. Have that locked down. Think spam bots for that one. Public override. Is there a get? There's no get collection. I don't even know if this works yet, so I'm not going to focus too much on it. It was my bad, but anyway, it's similar to Rust error handling. React render, so I'm considering adding React, but I'm not sure if it's possible in framework. Well, React doesn't have a server-side component, so you'd be okay there. I'm sure I know what you mean. You know, I just haven't. I do not have Result pattern. Yes. Yeah, I use result pattern. Yeah. Gotcha. That's what you meant. I figured it was. I was just kind of doing a quick search to see what that would result in. Yeah. Why does get collection not have an asynchronous option? Dynamic, and that is target dot table. Um, yeah, the main application. Um, he says he can't find an API all of a sudden. I assume what you mean is kind of this style. I'm returning results. Each of my handlers returns a result. It does not throw an exception. It just returns a result, and then the result is cast here for the type. I assume that's what you mean. To async. Wait. Async. That's probably not going to do what I think it's going to do, but figure that out afterwards. Just referred to as errors as values, which was the norm until that section became populated in the 90s. Errors as values. Yeah. But other people's advice, one is trapped by the way, such as it should return something or do something, kind of makes people conflict on that one. Because is returning an error returning something? Public case in public override. Async. So it's just circling around, huh? We do that a lot. I don't think it's a problem. I think it's just refinement. He fail. That don't need to be carried away with those things. Yes, like many things, people don't learn the past, so then it comes back after rediscovery of the new way. It gets frustrating for some reason. Yep, we land on the same solutions. That's an interesting one. I don't want to leak that connection. But repository by default is not usable. I'd rather implement it and sure that's a good pattern. That feels janky. Now I can at least I can put usings around all these things. Ultimately 0 and 1 or -1 from AC APIs. Can I find best common types? Interesting. I have no idea what that is, so we're just gonna go with the old way. String provider equals if provider equals server. So I'm returning provider equals MongoDB. Again, this isn't meant to be perfect. It's meant to be a step forward. return. Right, the second you can do that. I'm more focused on trying to get this to test rather than trying to. What do you want to convert to switch expression? um, as it is, that feels janky. So, okay. So we have something to pull the connection. The fact is the Mongo side of things doesn't care about the these don't matter to Mongo. So this is going to be planning items. It's a collection. Hi, Vindle. Sorry. We have technology A, which has drawbacks and benefits. We deploy technology A to production. We get annoyed by drawbacks, but notice the benefits. New technology B don't have the drawbacks of A, but has others instead. We therefore switch to tech B and gets annoyed. Tech C is launched. Yes. Wait, are you writing data pipeline? Yes, Milo, I am. Back in my day, we had deep rock. I liked it that way. Yeah. So technically, this doesn't matter to this object if I do this right. Poggers, huh? Sure. So I have an application I'm building. It has lots of components. It is I have many databases, and as I build more features in, I want the ability for myself to be able to control pulling data in. I don't want to go off and learn another library, another provider, because it will take me just as long to figure them out, and I can figure out my data cases as I go here. So that's why I'm building a data pipeline right now. So it's a transform tool for my project. I always forget how to do this. Did I pass it in as an argument? Doesn't really matter. Let's make sure that's copied out. And let's take files invalid. Try again. If actions all valid, transform definition. Steps is valid. Step. Ah. Files invalid. Why are you invalid? I'm not messing around. We're worried about what valid is afterwards. I want to see it either work or not work. Version. Well, we got a source and a destination. It knows what there are. I mean, technically that's got data in it, so that didn't go well. Can open database requested about login. Login failed. Okay, so let's have a look. Tenant.management. I named it wrong. So now that I'm at Bruno, how's things? Things are good. Things are good. I'm tinkering today a bit. Again, I'm writing my own pipeline stuff just because I have control. I know there are tools out there. I feel that this is a productive effort. Where am I going there? I am going to here. So yeah, this is where I have most of my fun anyway, this sort of stuff. I like writing tools like this. I believe that should skip, by the way, because I believe planning items is populated in pipelines. So yeah. Can I tell you a horror story? Is it scary? uh, Bad object name planning items. Yeah, that would be invalid, wouldn't it? That's what copy and paste buys you. Why am I getting planning items from the tenant management table? This is users. Um, to and this would be users. This would be name, email. I think that's all I care about in here. Yeah, name and email. Oh, identifier. So this doesn't do any sort of translation yet. This isn't doing any mapping. There's nothing clever going on. It's just gonna take the objects from one and put them in the other, basically. This isn't gonna matter to the MongoDB thing right now. I mean, you're more than welcome to tell a horror story. So let's do that. Let's just error or not. Executing users. There we go. Type Dapper row is not configured as a type that is allowed to be serialized for this instance of object serializer. So the data is it pulled the data, but then it can't convert it. So there's 18 records. Confound for the win. Absolutely. Indoor Cat6 patch cable with RJ45 dangling in the air, goes through hole in the wall. Cable is exposed in exterior wall. Goes into a channel under the house, exits under a deck. Patch cable ends there in a F to F, female to female RJ45 patch block. Rusted connectors goes over to a shielded Cat6 but still indoor cable that just lies on the raw ground under the deck. It's into a channel, moves up under a couple of stairs. Channel ends and the cable is buried in the lawn for about 6 feet. And then enters another cable channel, which is spliced into another channel with 90-degree connection, right to join the other pipe. The other pipe does another hard 90. Oh, buddy. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to, oh my goodness, this is someone trying to get a Cat6 run. Is it across to something, or is it trying to run Cat6 to the other side of the house or something via the outside? Okay, so the problem there is these are dapper rows, not so the dynamic nature of querying this is going to kick me in the butt. So this fetch all gives me dynamic, so I don't have to worry about the cast because I don't have the types available to me. Uh, After that, should the cable run out, so there's another F to have like inside of that channel, buried under a stone path. The cable then exits inside a box from hell filled with network cable and power cables for the income into the entire house. So what? I assume the person who's having this, uh, assuming it's not you, because I don't think you'd actually do that sort of like what super house. Oh, it's super in some ways, I suppose. Um, so my, if I can get rid of the dapper, it's gonna be a dapper row. Might inherit weird things from big house. True, true. Always good. Got pizza in return. um, so what I'm looking to do here is I don't want to. I need to convert the dapper. I need to get rid of the dapper row, basically. So if we look at this, so just replying to something. Um, Support mail. Good luck. Thank you very much. At the office later on. Mojo, have a great day. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out. Company. I will work for company. um, so if I want a dynamic object, that's great, but I want to get rid of dapper row is an object is designed to share a lot of state between rows. For example, if you fetch 40 rows, the column names are stored only once. If we used the expander object, this would be need to configure per row, hence the use dapper row. Dapper helpers to expander object. So basically, I've got to expand it out anyway. So to get that out properly, What is that site? Seems useful. What, Stack Overflow? Um, so here, what that's doing is saying select E as I dictionary string object. Ugh. Do I convert it here or do I convert it? I suppose I do want it out. Sorry, I took it that way and answered as if I was being very serious. Sorry. I did take it the way you intended it. Um ugh. Right now I'm holding on to the well, I'm not holding on to the I'm reinventing a wheel. I know the wheel has been solved here for certain, but this is my challenge, and understanding my data and how to transform my data will help me later on. If I go off and learn another tool, if I go and try and find, I did look when we first started this journey. There are a couple of tools out there. One of them is a paid option. Yeah, one of them is a paid option, and they both use a lot of code. And I don't want to do this as code. If I was going to do this as code, I could actually just write the conversions myself for every single thing. But yeah. Um, Sorry, my dog is being a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, so I suppose here's where I want to do. So like to expand object. So Dapper row properties. Key like expand as expand object. So we're going to create an array. Ugh, I don't want to do that though. That seems really costly. Does it go as a feature? As it seems search engines now signing exclusively websites. For example, Reddit can only be indexed by Google now. Yeah, that's just dumb. Object mapping. I'm going to assume that support mail's comment before of good luck was actually revolving around this exact problem. Uh, Best way to store and retrieve complex objects. Not looking for optimized solutions. I'm looking for a solution that I can build upon. Did you notice a prank? No, I don't want to be messing around. Convert Dapper row to dynamic object. that doesn't return that. That's that solution. I'm going to keep finding the same one. My hope was that to list would give me back. Can I see? Can I do? No, because it's just going to give me back dynamic, isn't it? Select. It is already dynamic. It knows it's dynamic because that's exactly what query async is meant to return. There's no generic I can give it there. So it already is that. Let's see if that changes that behavior. Data Dapero. Yeah. I didn't want to get stuck on this. That was a long shot. I do think it's the responsibility of this layer to get rid of the dapper row, right? It shouldn't expose dapper row beyond it. It should actually be a list of dynamic objects. That's all I care about. If I need to do anything for typing or need to construct objects, I can use the fields to construct objects of some form later, but I don't think I should need to do that right this second. I just need to get rid of dapper row. So, well, I'm just going to have to go the inefficient route, right? How to get object from dapper row. It's like I need to do something like no tracking, right? That's essentially the same sort of thing where if you don't use tracking, entity framework isn't going to wrap all the proxy class around your data. Create multiple async. Mapped dynamic object. Right. So that's great and all, but it doesn't give me a dynamic object. It gives me Dapper. Thanks for thanks for the stream. Apex, thank you very much for coming hanging out. Thank you very much for the gift sub. I do appreciate it once again. And have a great day. Maybe a good one. Is mapped dynamic object without class. I mean that's great and all, but that's not what it's giving me. I want to get rid of Dapper row. Guess I'm back to the original thing. I guess I don't have much of an option there. Just seems so that's going to it's going to take the object in its dynamic form, right? It's going to build a new expand object. It's then going to go through the property. It's basically just translating it into another expand object. Dot select R goes to R dot to expand objects. This dynamic. I can't do that on a dynamic. R dot. Go on. Tell me you can't. It's not a build, is it? Really? I don't think that got hit. Nope. Oh no, my breakpoint didn't hit. Okay, let's try that again. What? Is that just optimizing that out? No, it's just not working. Because it's a dynamic object. Don't think that worked like that. Expand object. Results. Okay, so I do have an object, but it's still not an object. Expander, yeah. But this is gonna go. That work? No. No, it didn't work. Oh, it did work. It did work. It helps if I'm inserting into the right collection. So let's clear that out. So the nature, because of the nature of Mongo, it worked, but it inserted it into the completely different collection because I gave it the wrong name. So let's run that once more. Then we should be able to go here, and we have nothing. I have nothing. Oh, we didn't even hit a breakpoint, so hold on. Executing users. We're just not doing anything now. Oh. I know what I'm doing. Promise I know what I'm doing. There you go. Okay, so we have that. So let's go back here. So planning items from the pipeline's perspective, our planning item should look like it should have the identifier, the title, the description, the review date, the date added, and last updated. So it should be able to go here, go to this, specify a step, which is name planning items. Options are here. Again, it doesn't really matter what the primary key is. That I'll figure out later. The source table is actually no, I can't do it this way. Sure. It's not there. It's I need an entire action. And this one is planning items from planning. So this is planning, I believe. Planning items. I probably need to rename that planning. Now on planning items. I want identifier. The weird thing about Mongo here is that the order I put these in is the order that the object's going to come out as. So that's what's going to get put in my data store. View date, date added, last updated. Now in this instance, I'm populating this. I can remove Bob this time. I'm populating this based upon these fields. What I could do is put a primary key check in there to you know, if I actually need to enrich data. So if I have a view that actually requires more data, then I'm going to have to. This is going to be more complicated as I go. There's going to be lots of cases. That should run users and planning items now. Executing users, executing planning items. It didn't work. Please tell me to just do the same thing again. I did the same thing again. So this isn't going to display it, but if I delete all this data now, I bet you it will display. Oh no, because it wasn't empty. Okay, so let's get users and planning items in there. So because it targeted users and I had the don't insert if not empty set, it didn't write anything. Users, planning items. There we go. Okay. So for right now, that's what I need for this tool, right? I need this tool to be able to provide that sort of data. As I build it forward, obviously, I'm going to have to, there's going to be way more complicated cases. Like I said, there's going to be inserting into places like the view, where the view needs data to be ordered. There needs to be some sort of path to how I do those things, because it has to resolve IDs and stuff. So that's going to get more complicated. But for right now, for what I'm trying to do here, this is perfect, because now I can take from a SQL table, populate into this, and I've got the tool to make it recreatable. So yeah, cool. Wait, what? Wait, what? Oh, you just caught up with that. Okay. So that being said, it is 9:05. I do have to unfortunately call it a day on the stream. Had to run off for a phone call for a bit then. No worries. Um, wow. We need some more app devs streaming during the day. Anybody getting recommendations on app devs? Anybody know of any other people doing dev that they would raid? I mean, there's a lot of game devs. Yeah. Kind of alternative dystopian alternative timeline is this? I'll fade the mic, not dropping people in there. Okay, well, I guess we'll go raid a game dev. Um, so I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to continue on with this. Basically now with that with the ability to pull the information into these tables, I can now run the changes receiver. And realistically, all I'm trying to do right now is do things like, oh, the assigned user, oh, the projects, etc. So I can build those tools up um, to help do that and populate this information out. So yeah, progress. We do have a MongoDB receiver, a MongoDB option. So we're gonna go raid. We're gonna raid. These is gonna be almost finishing. Let's risk it. We're gonna go raid Beegs. Beegs is likely almost about to finish up as well, but I'd rather raid out than I would just sit here and just end the stream. So thank you very much for joining me. I will be back tomorrow. We'll do more of this, get this application moving forward, and start to get the UI changes in there. One, thank you very much for hanging out as always. For I don't do many shout outs. I need to get better at my shout outs. Problem is, you all stream, and I know you all. You all know each other, so those in chat, yeah. I will be there later on. It's Wednesday. Yes, it's Wednesday. It feels like Tuesday. So thank you all. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.